Pesa Teoni, that's going to be the name facing off against Ryan Sherry. I talked to Ryan this morning. I said, I mean, they got to put you on championship, right, Ryan?
Well, Cameron, people may know Ryan Sherry for his excellent interview skills, but he has a lot of game in singles. Probably going to be a little bit of a favorite here. He's the 7 seed against Pesa Teoni, who I believe qualified here. He's a very strong doubles player. Haven't seen him play singles a lot, but excited for this matchup and excited to get going here.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the interviewing skills of Ryan Sherry. He's notorious for that, so you can guarantee, hopefully, we're going to get another good soundbite from that man right there, the Share Bear. I'm just wondering if he's got that electric shirt on that somebody made for him that literally just embodies him perfectly. It's his own face on a shirt. You got to find it somewhere.
I think he's going to make us wait this morning, maybe play a couple of points before the sweat makes him take off the first layer. But Ryan Sherry, for those that have not watched him play singles, when he's playing well, is one of the hottest players on the tour. He has a PPA title to his name, can certainly beat anybody on a given day, but he is known to be a little bit streakier. So if he's not bringing his A game, look for Mr. Teoni here to really push him.
And you can see Teoni working with that left hand. So maybe how does that change in terms of singles facing off against somebody as a righty? I mean, you got to kind of rework your brain, right?
Yeah, I mean, so much of singles training is really practicing winning patterns over and over again. And so when you play a left-handed player, a lot of those patterns are inverted a little bit. So it can make your percentages drop just a little bit and can make you need to win in a different way. We'll see how, you know, Ryan Sherry adjusts here.
So Ryan Sherry warming it up. He's out of course, Florida. Does a nice job out there training alongside several pros that direction.
And Pesa Teoni, a newly signed Selkirk pro, using the new SLK. I believe that's the Halo paddle from Selkirk, and he is local here to the Phoenix area, Cameron.
So what do you think about that paddle? I know working with Selkirk yourself, but what are your interpretations of using that thing?
Yeah, so I have to admit, I haven't personally used it yet. I love my Selkirk Power Air, but it has the reputation of being very good for spin, very good for shaping the ball, which is really important in singles. Really finding those short angles can really enhance the quality of your passing shots. And singles is so much about implementing your will early in the first couple of shots. We'll see if that paddle will enable him to play an aggressive style.
So the question is, before they get started, if you're talking about implementing your will, obviously Ben Johns comes to your mind, right? But who are some of the others in this main draw that you go, ooh, that's somebody that can definitely dictate terms?
Well, I think, you know, it starts with Federico Staksrud for me. You know, coming off the last tournament, played Ben Johns in the finals. You know, Johns was really in form and blew through everybody, quite honestly. But Staksrud is very consistent, very aggressive, and, you know, newer on the scene as of, you know, a year ago or so. So look for him to make an even bigger jump this year and in this tournament. Yeah,
and Staksrud, of course, making the final back at our Masters event at Mission Hills Country Club just a few short weeks ago. Dylan Frazier picked up the bronze medal for men's singles. And also interesting, you think back to this event last year and who was victorious at the top? Well, it wasn't Ben Johns. It was JW Johnson. Great volley there.
Excellent first point by Ryan Sherry, very much in control. We'll see how he does on serve here.
Nice cross-court winner beforehand of Ryan Sherry.
And you see the shot that really set that up. Ryan Sherry's first shot, the third shot that we call in pickleball here, choosing to not go for the full pass, just choosing to dip that ball low and pass Teoni on the second ball here.
And to your point, dipping the ball low, even on that backhand side, getting that ball to dive versus the power.
Yeah, if you can really force your opponent to hit upward on their initial volley, it often opens up a bigger target for you on your second shot. It seems to be the strategy early on for Mr. Sherry.
Ooh, a little deception there from Teoni.
Yeah, I love the play. He initially, knowing that he had to hit up, he chose to play a short volley, forcing Sherry to move. He got the pop-up, was able to put the next one away.
Yeah, and also finding some of the shadows in that backhand side for Ryan Sherry. You can see just on the corner there previously was a really nice return that direction from Teoni.
And you'll notice there from Sherry, he did not return and come in on that one. He will do that from time to time more than some of the other men, return and stay back.
Right now, his physical fitness is being put to the test. Teoni is making a move.
And that may be the game plan for Teoni, knowing how dangerous Sherry is with those passing shots. Sometimes forcing him to move forward changes the trajectory and the angle on those passes.
Not happy with the contact there.
Yeah, I like the play from Teoni. He just chose to say, hey, if you're going to give me the net, I'll slice it and come in. Missed a makeable volley there, but I think he'll make the next one if Sherry continues to give him the net. And a sorry there from Sherry. Got a little bit of let cord early love from the net. You always like that in your first round matches.
Another point for Ryan Sherry, the number 7 seed, now up 4-0. And again, Pesa Teoni coming out of the qualifier just a day ago. Wow, great depth on that first or second volley there from Teoni to then drop that ball just within the kitchen.
Yeah, and the same pattern. I think if he can get good depth on the first volley, maybe play the next one or look to play one short, he can bring Sherry in on his terms.
Some bigger swings right there from Ryan Sherry.
Yeah, and Sherry again choosing to return and stay back. I think he's waiting to make Teoni prove to him that he can hit some good volleys in an offensive manner.
Wiping off the sweat now. Ryan Sherry's been doing a nice job with his footwork, running around the court to this point.
And I like the return there from Teoni. When you play players that have great passing shots on both their forehand and their backhand, sometimes going right up the middle is the best way to reduce their angle and get a good first volley.
Yeah, you see that so frequently utilized now in the game of pickleball, right? The middle return trying to neutralize some of those angles.
Yeah, just slowing some of these aggressive players down. Middle is sometimes the key.
You didn't think you were going to come to a geometry lesson this morning. Well, Kyle McKenzie's now your math teacher.
Apparently class is in session, and I was terrible at actual math, so don't tell anyone, Cameron.
Oh, but it is such a huge part of pickleball, right? As it is in tennis as
Sure.
well, trying to limit those angles.
Yeah, so much strategy in singles takes place before you even start the point.
Oh, beautiful shot right there from Teoni. But I'm glad that you just said that, because now it's the follow-up question. So what are some of the things that have to get done before you ever even step onto the court in terms of strategizing, maybe after this point?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So the serve and the return are so much more important in singles. So Sherry in his mind here is thinking, is he going to serve to the forehand, into the body, into the backhand, and then he can anticipate where that return may go. And now he's thinking kind of the same sort of thing on his passing shot. Where does a player maybe have a weaker volley, or just sometimes going right at them reduce their ability to move you?
A lot of forethought, as Ryan Sherry's forethought seems to be working in his favor, now up 5-0. So Teoni's going to take a timeout here. Our lead official is going to be Brenda Ali, excuse me, and Daya Viada. That is our second official. We'll be back with more from Championship Court.
Yeah, and I think for Teoni to get going here, it's just fundamentals. I think he needs to put more pressure on Sherry with better approach shots and just a solid deep first volley.
Not enough shape on that two-handed backhand.
But, you know, sometimes just putting balls in play from Teoni's perspective, when you can just make your opponent work a little bit more often, sometimes good things happen for you.
He's got the first point on his scoreboard. Seems to be hitting those one-hand backhands just a bit wide or a little bit loose.
Yeah, and that's the choice that the players have on their third shots. They're either going to drop it or they're going to rip it. He's trying to slow things down, just not able to execute right now.
Well, that's a beautiful touch right there from Teoni.
And that has been the one shot that's really, really kept him, you know, close to start here. That drop volley's been effective every time he's attempted it.
Teoni working with the drop volley, to your point, has been highly effective in terms of making Ryan Sherry move. However, he has fended it off well to this point. What a shot from Teoni!
An early highlight reel. You don't see a lot of ATP or around the post shots in singles. A real treat on that one, putting the movement on full display.
I was going to say, I think the spin Ryan Sherry put on that ball actually helped him a little bit. Carving that one around the post. A little bit of a different look in this last rally, both players staying at the baseline.
Yeah, you don't see as many baseline rallies in the men's, you know, pro singles game, but big confidence booster for Teoni to get that one. He's closing the gap here. Looks like a 3-5.
Yeah, 3 straight for Teoni since that timeout. Yeah, nice depth there from Ryan Sherry, kind of fending that off and able to get to the kitchen line.
Yeah, and a smart approach by Sherry there. You see a little bit of a lack of confidence from Teoni on that backhand side. He's choosing to slow it down. To me, that says he's not as confident going for the passing shot.
Speaking of passing shots, there's a beauty from Sherry.
And that's what Sherry can do. He's so good at threading the needle. These are small targets that these players are hitting out there. He can do it with the best of them.
Did he get it?
Looks like it was called just a little bit wide. Very, very close.
Tough to tell from that angle, so Ryan Sherry's taking it. Nice little hold there on the forehand side to then go cross court.
And this is what's so tough if you're in Teoni's position. A similar return to last time. Last time Sherry went down the line. This time he goes cross court. So again, if I'm in his shoes, focusing on depth on that return, maybe going a little bit more middle to take away Sherry's ability to pass you on that first ball.
So depth and middle, that's the equation for Pesa Teoni to this point. Let's see if he can figure and find that, as well as a little bit on that backhand side as well. But so far, you know, he did have a run of 3 points at this point, so can string some together.
Yeah, things can change very quickly in singles one way or the other.
Just a bit of a miscontact there. You could hear that off the paddle.
Yeah, but credit to Sherry's serve. Notice how close that landed to the line. Depth on the serve, also very, very important.
Well, there's the second one as well. Now Ryan Sherry's in that pattern got 2 of 3 against Teoni.
Yeah, and the last couple backhands he's hit, he's used the one hand. They've been a sharper angle and really tough for Teoni to adjust.
Looking for the lob. I love that. Well, drop lob. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
off the lob.
A drop overhead there. Well, we mentioned that's the shot he's had success with. He figured, you know, why not try it on the overhead too?
I don't know if I've ever seen that before. At least not from a jumping position. Let's put it that way.
I think it's the first time for me as well.
Hey, at least he's got 2 on the highlight reel to this point.
You know?
Yeah, it's another 4-10 now.
And this is where we're in a big deficit in game 1, knowing that if you lose, you still have the option for game 2. Teoni just needs to find a winning pattern, play free, and just at the very minimum, build some confidence for the second game. Darn near had another highlight reel on that one. Just wide. Sherry here with game point.
(10-4), game point. And the return long. So Ryan Sherry on top. Team that won the challenger level at MLP Mesa just this past week. So big congratulations to them, but some other first-round matchups. Spencer Smith versus Gabriel Joseph, of course. Another interesting is Wami Martinez-Vich versus the number 2 seed Jay Devilliers.
Yeah, Vich looked very impressive in the qualifying. Obviously, tough to play.
Yes.
You know, Devilliers first round. That's your prize for getting through. But look for him to push Jay in that one. Okay, and a solid start here for Teoni. He's had some solid returns, good first volleys. He's not trying to do too much. Let's see if he can build off of his early 1-point lead here in game 2.
We talked about depth and then also trying to find some of those middle returns as well in game 1.
Yeah, and that, to me, the approach shots, there weren't that many points, but there were several times in game 1 where Sherry returned and stayed back, and Teoni made an early error, not really forcing Ryan Sherry to work much. He's doing a much better job of cleaning that up early here in game 2.
Thing of beauty, Ryan Sherry. Letting that one roll off the paddle.
Yeah, that's what he can do when he's got it all going. And if you're Teoni, you have to just say that's in the budget. He played a good point, good return, good first volley. Sherry just was able to run around, find a forehand, and come up with that highlight reel shot.
Side out.
And that's also a little bit in the budget for Ryan Sherry, too. He has had some very aggressive service pressure, finding that back or the baseline pretty effectively to this point, even with the missed serve there.
Side out.
Yeah, more allowable to miss a serve once in a while in singles because it's such a weapon when you can get it deep, and you want to put pressure on that return at all times.
Side out.
Looks like Sherry had the opening up the line, just a little bit late, mistimed that one. 2-1 here early in game 2 for Teoni.
2-1.
That's hard to carve that ball with that shape from the baseline.
Yeah, that's been the winning pattern, and I think it's going to continue to be where Sherry goes when he approaches. It doesn't look like Teoni's really figured out how to pass comfortably on that backhand side yet.
Side out.
And you hear Ryan Sherry on the stream miss-hit right there, and I think you're right, because he actually took a pretty phenomenal step there to get in front of that ball.
Yeah, he had the opening for the winner, but he was pulled to the side. Looks like he just got barely overstretched just a little.
Point.
Nice serve from Teoni. With the increase in paddle technology, sometimes these balls, they just don't even bounce. They just skid, especially when you're serving with depth like that.
It's not always true and can certainly favor the aggressive player. So there's another return to the Teoni backhand, but it wasn't right in the corner. What I'd love to see him do is be a little more bold with his footwork and try to make as many of those balls a forehand as he's able to just disrupt the strategy of Sherry trying to find his backhand.
So what does bold footwork look like?
Well, I think you have to be a little more extreme of shading to that side even before the return goes there and giving up more space on your forehand side.
Side out.
Tried to quicken the pace there. Little short hop.
Yeah, again, tough to come up with that much angle when your opponent isn't giving you much. Good execution and good game plan from Teoni on that point.
So Teoni on top, 3-2. And a second one. The layup for Teoni.
I think he's starting a trend here, Cameron. Might be a shot I'm going to need to add in my game. He's 2 for 2.
4-2, 1 minute.
One on one side, one on the other side. It's like a tip dunk.
A fast recovery.
You've still got the bar across things. Sorry, just.
Excellent angle on that first volley from Ryan Sherry. Earns himself the side out here, trailing a little bit, 2-4 here in the second. Teoni sticking with the game plan of going deep middle on that return, just slightly overcooked that one.
Point.
Just deep is the call from Ryan Sherry.
It's
Teoni
so
got
tough.
a check.
That's the ride that you line, the line that you ride rather. When you're returning, you obviously go for depth, but if you get a little bit greedy, you don't want to give away those 3 points either.
Point.
And that ball just getting behind Teoni there on the volley. That's tough, playing that ball behind your hip.
5-4. Point.
Yeah, is a call from Ryan Sherry.
And that's what he does as well as anyone. Such good usage of his non-dominant left hand here. It's tough to tell, but there's so much topspin on that ball to allow that cross-court angle to open up.
Point.
And that ball, if you just missed it off the edge of your screen, I believe was wide for Ryan Sherry.
And this is where Teoni just needs to make Ryan Sherry play a little bit more, aim for bigger targets for the first couple of points, and not give it away so easily.
Side out.
Casual for Teoni. Just rolling it in.
Yeah, really set everything up with a great first short volley. Again, bringing him forward has been successful throughout the match. We'll see if he can string together a few points here.
Gotta love the effort, though, from Ryan Sherry. He goes all out all the time, in every phase of his life.
Side out.
Yeah, he's not a half in, half out type personality in any way. It certainly shows that on the pickleball court.
There's only one speed for Ryan Sherry. That's full force.
8-4.
Tries to get tricky there. Working a little inside out. He had plenty of space up the line, but...
Yeah, I think that's the first one that brought short, where he had some options, maybe tried to be a little too fancy with that one. Teoni wasn't fooled.
He was actually there so fast he could get a forehand all the way on the backhand side.
Side out.
And again, it seems like that's been the winning pattern again for Ryan Sherry. If he's able to return to that backhand, force Teoni to have to pass on that side, his percentages have been much lower on the backhand side compared to the forehand.
That is just an unbelievable point for Teoni in terms of just perfect in every single contact. It started right there with the return, then finding some space, and yet again, the cross-court ball from Teoni. Each contact better than the last.
Yeah, if you can get your opponent moving with those volleys, normally you'll have an opportunity to finish the point.
Side out.
Trying to slide into that one is Teoni, but not able to get a paddle on it.
Sherry says, you're not the only one that can stick a volley around here. They made that look very easy, but it certainly was not.
Point.
Thank you, Net, says Ryan Sherry.
Yeah, and that, again, that's what Sherry's known for, those short angles. He's able to dip that first one, then this second ball. He really has Teoni on a string, can go either way, and Teoni's kind of forced to guess on that second ball.
9-4.
9-4 now.
Point.
It's interesting, too, because when you're talking short angles, you know, so much of the singles game, you talk about depth and trying to keep your opponent at the baseline, but there's still plenty of danger with short angles.
Yeah, once they do start coming up, depth isn't obviously as effective. So I think at that point, the strategy changes to maybe hitting it slower or with more spin to the edges.
It's great in terms of point construction.
Side out.
Nice angle.
So good. Certainly the tougher of the two shots. That's why Ryan Sherry's leaving that open, but Teoni able to execute there.
Yeah, throughout the day, we got to have a little conversation about shading and where you kind of want your court positioning to be on certain shots, because I think there's not enough conversation in that regard, especially in the game of singles, at least online yet.
Yeah, it definitely plays a part.
Point.
That'll be a big confidence booster for Teoni. Hopefully it's not too little too late, but really thread the needle beautifully on the two-handed backhand cross court there.
Teoni looking into the sun now. 5-10 is your score.
Side out.
Quality first volley by Sherry creates a difficult pass across his body for Teoni there.
10-5. Oh, excuse me. Recall.
And we've got 10-5 match point here.
Side out.
Another side out for Teoni. He's been spending a few minutes on the court alongside Connor Garnett this past week here in Arizona. So many of our athletes staying since MLP, getting some extra training in. Many staying in homes with pickleball courts, so they didn't even have to go anywhere to get some practice games in.
6-10.
6-10 now.
Certainly a perk of playing pro tournaments here in the Phoenix area.
Point.
Looks like it was called just wide there by Ryan Sherry, but some promising looking backhands the last few points from Teoni. Really like it when he just sets his feet and rips on that side.
I didn't call a score yet, sorry.
No score had been called yet.
No.
That is no longer called as a fault, so Ryan Sherry will get a reserve. He's got to find the ball first. I'm not sure those two individuals weren't wearing it.
10-6.
Match point.
Stop. You can't hold the ball. He held the ball in the racket. It's a quadruple hand. He knows it. It's a quadruple
And Sherry's complaining here, saying earlier in the point that Teoni carried one of his shots.
I mean, come on.
What did you say? Carry. Carry? Okay. That was a carry. That was a carry. Point. Game match.
Call it yourself, man. That's bullshit. Call that.
Without a doubt, well, Hayden Patriquin again starting to get warmed up. He's on the near side of your screen. DJ Young on the far.
Side out.
So give me some strategy and scouting report for both of these players. What are they going to both look to do?
You know, both of these players have very well-rounded games, meaning they both play doubles at a high level and maybe have more experience on the doubles side. I wouldn't classify either one of them as, you know, just a pure ball striker, though they hit the ball well. So look for angles, look for a little bit more variety, throwing in the third shot drop, looking to move forward, and using some of their touch and feel at the net.
Missed return from Patriquin.
Patriquin looking to go cross court. I think he's going to try to test the DJ Young backhand passing shot. We'll see how effective that is in this match.
Just tagging the sideline is Patriquin.
Side out.
Might have played that one a little closer to the line than he intended, but no matter. He gets the point, or gets the side out rather.
Beautiful from Hayden Patriquin right there, finding the cross-court winner.
Yeah, great disguise. You see how long he held that. He got Young to actually move to the line and guess incorrectly. Nice disguise there from Patriquin.
1-2.
And especially as you're moving, that line becomes that much quicker coming your direction. Got to protect against that. That one flies off the paddle of Patriquin using the Franklin.
Yeah, tried to hit that one, looked like at full pace. That's a little tougher to do when the return is short and low. Sometimes you have to take a little bit off that to open up the angles.
Side out.
Again, forcing into the guess is DJ Young.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think Young is being a little too premature with guessing. It's a fine line between guessing and anticipating. You don't want to leave home too early. We'll see if he makes that adjustment as the match progresses here.
Great shape as that ball just dives under the paddle of Young.
Yeah, you can see the dip, and when they can get that shape, as you mentioned, Cameron, it makes the volley so much more difficult.
Way to step in, Hayden Patriquin.
Yeah, it seems like what we're noticing is a commitment to move forward and really test that backhand on his first passing shot.
3-2.
And right now, DJ Young is kind of laying up some short balls just into the middle of the court.
Yeah, we talked about the value in going to the middle, but you really have to have that depth. Really opens up the angles when it's short middle. Let's see if he can get a little more depth on his returns.
Well, and there's the disparity between the two, right? One right after the other in terms of the depth of return towards the middle.
2-4.
2-4. There's a forehand winner from DJ Young.
Yeah, a little bit more of the same. A little too short on the return from Patriquin. He was sliding over to cover the open court. Smart shot by Young going back behind him there.
Make it 4-4. Young nodding things up.
Never a great miss to miss the return in the net, because even if it does go over, it's probably going to be short and not what you're looking for.
Yeah, there's a better way to miss, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you really almost do have to look at it in those terms when you're training, where there is a good and a bad miss.
5-4.
Trying to carve that ball back to the interior is Young, but not enough on the knife.
Yeah, you see when the quality of the return is high, it really makes that pass difficult.
These rallies seem a little bit short right now in terms of Patriquin coming in and dictating just from the kitchen line.
Yeah, I think both players are struggling getting depth on the return, and that's really favoring the server with a good first pass. And that is the adjustment. These guys are obviously very strong doubles players, but you can get away with some shorter returns in doubles. You're much more punished for it in singles, so you have to take a little more risk there.
Yeah, doubles, you got somebody else at least standing up at the net with fantastic hands at that level, fending off. It's not the easiest thing, don't get me wrong. Short returns are not fun. You're going to get blasted in that regard. Dropping the paddle is Hayden Patriquin. Just look at that angle.
Receiver, 7-5,
so
1 minute,
gnarly.
8-5.
Back out of the timeout. The young man is jumping up and down, as he should, because he's got the advantage right now over DJ Young. 8-5. There's a return with a lot more depth, keeping Patriquin at the baseline.
Yeah, good weight transfer of pushing off his back leg through the stroke to give himself that depth, but also to propel himself to the kitchen line to be able to make a good first volley.
And back-to-back for DJ Young.
Yeah, Young
timeout he needed.
Right back at you. He's been beat with that inside-out forehand from Patriquin. Gave him a little taste of his own medicine there.
And another. Exactly. Someone has found the recipe, because he's definitely given him a taste.
Yeah, both these players utilizing the inside-out forehand. You know, it's a diagonal shot, so there's a little bit more distance, allowing you to hit it harder and still get that spin and keep the ball on the court.
So DJ Young doing a nice job since the timeout. He's found 2 back now.
7-8.
Down 1. And you can see how Patriquin started to shade that direction, kept the return also a little bit more middle.
Yep.
Didn't give him as much of an angle. Worked in his favor. And Young says, I've had enough. Get out of here, young buck.
And that time Young did guess correctly in that cat and mouse exchange, was able to sit on that cross-court ball and ultimately put the next one away.
And it is 8-8 now, but I do have to say too, DJ Young, one of the longer players on tour, appears to be using his length as his advantage also at the kitchen line.
Yeah, gonna make him tougher to pass than most with that extended reach, absolutely.
That one just teed up on a platter for Patriquin.
Yeah, Patriquin got a little fortunate with the let cord to set himself up there.
Nice hustle from Patriquin, and he's huffing and puffing to get back to the baseline. He was working hard.
Yeah, and I like the location he went for on that pass up at the kitchen line. Looked like Young had the line covered, but he put it just high enough and found that tight little window to make it uncomfortable.
Missed return gives game point to Patriquin, 10-8.
Side out.
Ooh.
Yeah, he had an opening, but again, we've talked about it. When the return is middle and deep and you're trying to go for a clean winner, it's very easy for those balls to slide a little bit wide on you.
I like the idea, though, because he had been working so much inside out there. Ooh, right at the right foot. Tried to find the tweener.
Yeah, I like the idea by Young there. It looked like he was opting for a drop rather than a drive. Just left it a little bit high, and Patriquin was able to hit down at the feet on that volley.
Point game. 11-8. Switch ends. This is game 2. Time in.
To Desert Ridge for the Carvana PPA Tour. Second stop now in 2023. Cameron Irwin alongside Kyle McKenzie. Kyle's been doing a phenomenal job giving you all the ins and outs of the men's singles game. We've been talking a lot about depth of return and also location. Trying to find a lot of shape on that is Patriquin, but better job dictating terms is DJ Young finding the kitchen.
Yeah, good leave there by DJ Young, recognizing that pass was just going to fly a little bit on Patriquin there. And I like the choice from Young there. Had a lot of success with that forehand going inside out in game 1, keeping Patriquin honest by pulling it inside in. Excellent pass there to start. And a great stretch by Young to extend that play, but too good in the cat and mouse exchange there by Patriquin.
You have 1. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Making sure we have the score correct now. Patriquin was going, I didn't think I had earned one yet. Another side out for DJ Young to this point.
Yeah, even though Patriquin missed that backhand, you can see he's getting some good action, good shape on that two-hander. It really opens up to be able to pass on either side.
Side out.
Plenty of shape on that one for Patriquin.
Yeah, Young looking to incorporate some of his double skills by dropping and moving forward, but you have to move in on a higher quality shot than that. When it's too high, it's just not good enough at this level.
So when you're looking at third shot drop in singles, where exactly are you looking to locate that ball? Is it on the exterior? Is it in the middle? Like, how do the angles change maybe after this point?
Sure. So good. Look at the shape of that.
Right there.
Looked like it was going to go out because it crossed the net so high, but he had plenty of topspin.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say to your question earlier, it's a little bit player dependent on where you play that drop. I'd say for most people, you obviously want to drop to the backhand. They generally have a little bit less reach and are less dangerous if you can get that ball to bounce.
0-2.
That one took quite a hop. That's tough, too, from the baseline when you change that arm angle.
Yeah, very, very challenging. You talk about that decision to drop or drive. Generally, when you're lacking that spacing, you're not going to be able to hit an effective enough drive. Might have opted for a drop if I was in Patriquin's shoes on that last one.
Side out.
It's a little too much of that one.
Yeah, he's getting plenty of spin, but looks like the ball's just coming off the paddle a little too high for both the drops and the drive. He's going to have to change his target and play with a little more risk lower to the net, I think.
I love what I just saw from DJ Young. He short hopped that return and got to the net wildly quick.
And we talked about the anticipation too. Patriquin was beating him with that inside out drop. Young was there to cover it, leaving more line exposed because he's making Patriquin beat him with some different options.
So DJ Young out to a better start here in game 2, now up 3-0. And what complimentary pickleball right there. That was gorgeous from DJ Young, taking that backspin and using it to his advantage.
Yeah, that's going to be a big confidence builder for him. That was a really good return by Patriquin, deep to the backhand, and Young says, hey, I can come up with some highlight reels on this side too. He is already kind of guessing the direction of some of Patriquin's favorite patterns.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to keep him honest a little bit with varying those. And again, you can see the immense amount of shape that Young is getting on his passes. That ball cleared the net relatively high, but was able to get enough dip to bring that down in the court.
Young working with the Carbon Pickleball Power Series, I believe. See the lead tape as well along the length of his paddle, giving him some extra pop. Patriquin was doing such a nice job at the kitchen line, but just got too much on that last two-handed backhand.
Yeah, I like the idea from Patriquin there to be aggressive, but when you're up and your opponent's back, you never want to aim too close to the lines because it's just an unnecessary risk that you don't need to be taking.
Talk about some bigger targets in terms of passing shots for DJ Young. Maybe some bigger targets are in need for Patriquin, even while standing at the kitchen line. There's another ball. That's the second we've seen. Beautiful cross-court winner on the two-hand backhand from DJ Young.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, I've got a rule when I play that I make opponent beat me with their weaker side twice before I change up my strategy. That's the second time. If I'm Patriquin, I'm going to look to go a little bit more middle, again, to take away that angle, get into some more points, and then adjust from there.
I love that. So you already have made up in your mind, hey, if it's going twice, you got to beat me twice before I make my adjustment.
You know, I have more of a science approach when I'm playing, but that's what works for me.
So you go full science, but no math. We've learned. Right. No geometry for Kyle McKenzie.
You've got me figured out now.
So 10-0 right now, DJ Young. Completely different story here in game number 2. He's got game point.
Yeah, Young using some length there to extend that point, but ultimately too good at angles there by Patriquin. And like we talked about in the last match, when you're down big, but you know there's going to be another game, this is where you just play free, you experiment maybe, try to find some patterns that work that can carry into that deciding next game.
Well, maybe that's the one right there. Point on the side of Hayden Patriquin. 110 now. See if he can find a pattern that's going to work in his favor. Tries to go with the same thing, to your point.
Yeah, he's been working the inside out. I do think he's going to have to try some of those inside in or like that backhand up the line. If nothing else, just to show Young that he's capable of both, to keep him guessing.
And he holds him there as well. So DJ Young picking up game number 2, 11-1. DJ Young was victorious in game 2, pushing Patriquin 11-1. Game 3 starting now. This is the Carvana PPA Tour. Nice job by young Patriquin.
And we talked about one of the differences between singles and doubles is in doubles, reflexes and those fast hands matter so much. We saw a little bit of that on display from Patriquin in that one.
That was a big stroke right there from Patriquin.
Yeah, I think he was pretty surprised that Young was able to come up with such a quality shot back across his body. Looked like Patriquin was in complete control at that point, but a beautiful shot by Young there.
0-1.
And this is where, again, it seems counterintuitive, but Young has had such a nice rhythm on the middle returns, and he's really hitting the backhand well. Sometimes it throws your opponent off when you go to their strength originally. Let's see if he does it here.
Tries to get tricky with it.
And right on cue, looked like Patriquin took that initial return, just showing a different look to Young by going to the forehand, able to get the side out.
Side out.
Nice change of pace there from DJ Young.
And both these guys are kind of known for their competitive demeanor, just being cool and collected. They make it look easy out there. Very casual with an amazing volley right there from Young.
I think the entire internet's hoping for another Hayden Patriquin finger wag.
Yeah, again, we saw that in the Sherry match, you know, able to get enough dip on the original pass to force Patriquin to hit up, and then he has a lot more time to prepare for his next shot. And it's so tough when you're Patriquin. It almost feels like you have to guess which way your opponent is going on the second one.
Side
He's
out.
not old enough to gamble quite yet, but maybe he's going to find himself at the roulette table.
Well, when you have
Poker
beautiful
table.
returns like the last one, you don't have to gamble as much. So more of the same from him there.
Side out.
Yeah, not able to get the spacing. I think he could have shown a little better footwork on that second ball. He got the dipping ball he wanted here, but a little too close to the ball there to execute a good shot.
Yeah, he had to stand up a bit there. Patriquin showing just a little bit of frustration, just with the body language.
When we talked about, you know, good misses, bad misses, bottom of the net here, certainly needs to give himself a little bit more margin of error.
Side out.
No, stop it, DJ Young telling himself.
He knew he let Patriquin get away with a pretty poor return there. Let's see if Patriquin can build on that. This is his opportunity.
It's looking a little bit more towards the direction of Patriquin. I think back to game number 1 where there was a rally. Patriquin going up the line on that.
What I'm seeing is, you know, Patriquin a few times has been a little jumpy on the return. He seems to be very worried about getting all the way up to the net. His weight transfer is a little off. He just needs to take his time just a little bit more to secure a good return.
Oh, Patriquin had his track shoes on and fends one off.
That
The
point,
hustle.
it had a little bit of everything. Patriquin was in control. Then it looked like he'd lost it and gets a little bit of a gift on that backhand volley from Young there.
This is, I think, the moment where both athletes try and drop the ball a little bit, walk around, try and catch the breath. I've seen a few missed returns in that regard.
2-4, 1 minute.
It's also Patriquin's favorite shot, so we'll see who can mix it up and who can be more effective with that pattern.
You saw who's next up here on championship court. It's Connor Garnett versus Federico Staksrud, the matchup everyone was looking for round number 2. We're gonna show it to you and have some fun.
Excited for that one, absolutely.
So Patriquin adds an additional. Make it 2 straight for the 12 seed.
And that's the challenge of returning cross court with DJ Young. He's got more court to cover, and he was just a little wrong-footed with Patriquin going behind him there.
Make it 3 straight. Found something in that timeout, did Patriquin.
Yeah, looks like he's getting more depth on the serve, which has given him a couple of errors. Better job of creating space with his feet there.
DJ Young has dropped 4 straight. He needs to find something now. Make it 5 straight. There's the inside out. We talked about patterns. Cameron Irwin alongside Kyle McKenzie. That inside out for both these players. Very effective for young Patriquin there.
Young played a great return, but to me, I'm going to be leaning, taking away that inside out shot. Make him beat you with the other one right on cue here.
Yeah, that was perfectly done right there. Nice adjustment. Young getting the ball back now. Again, trying to drop. Backhand side.
And I think that's the right shot. You know, him trying to pass on that ball probably would have been overhitting. He's trying to work the point, just unable to convert there.
Nothing you can do with the amount of dip on that ball from Patriquin.
An impressive variety. Not only did he go inside in, but you're right. It was how low he was able to get that ball. Really changed the volley from Young.
Wow. Just off the bounce, I think that was a good example right there. Just how much spin is on the ball. Go back and check that and the direction that ball bounced. And that is perfect play from Hayden Patriquin. He goes inside in and then goes inside out on back-to-back rallies.
Yeah, and he's trying to find the backhand of Patriquin, but when you go with angle, you give angle, and paid the price for that one.
Trying to cuff that ball with his wrist. So match goes to Hayden Patriquin. Scarpa will get us started.
0-0.
Played tennis at Mercer University. Out of Georgia, at least the university is. He's originally out of South Carolina.
Yeah, showing some good foot speed on that first one. Most of the time players would have to drop that second ball. He was able to get up there fast enough to stay on the offensive.
Missing the volley is Devilliers. Residing in Kansas now.
2-0.
Wichita State goes Shockers.
Devilliers moves extremely well, especially for a bigger guy. I believe he's 6'3", known to be one of the tougher players to pass once he gets up to the kitchen line.
0-2.
And I mentioned that, you know, Devilliers doesn't have a weapon that defines him. If he does have one, it may be that one-handed backhand. He can use both one. He's capable of using one and two hands on the backhand, but certainly has one of the prettiest one-handers on tour.
Well, I was going to say the same thing because I'm going that one-hand backhand. I feel like I see from Devilliers. I'm like, that thing is a weapon.
You know, a year or two ago, he used his two-hander more often, but I think he's realized that the one-hander actually creates, you know, a better pass.
And why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think he can make contact with the ball a little bit early. I think visually, it's a little tougher to see where it's going.
I think that might have just hit off the toe of that Vulcan paddle.
4-1.
So
Side out.
Missed serve.
yeah, and we talked about this in other matches. You know, you're going to miss some serves. I don't love that he missed his serve wide, though. If you're going to miss it, I'd rather it be deep, going for an exceptionally deep serve.
Fun fact about Jay Devilliers, I talked to him just a week ago. Man has 3 degrees. As he finds one there. Get this. He spent so much time at school. He has a degree in international business. Of course, he is from Paris, France originally.
3-4.
Marketing as well as management. So he can do just about whatever he wants after he's done with the pickleball.
Well, I learned something new today. Obviously, very smart guy, very impressive. And you see how comfortable Devilliers is up at the kitchen line. Great anticipation. Understands the geometry of probability of going which direction for his opponents. Yeah, excellent first volley from Anderson Scarpa there. See, not only was he able to get good depth, he was able to move Devilliers into the corner there.
He did have a 4-1 advantage. However, Devilliers put a few points back on the board.
4-4.
Number 2 versus number 15 seed.
Side out.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, Anderson Scarpa is going to have a little bit more discipline at when to go for the pass. If you're not balanced, you don't have your feet underneath you, it's sometimes better to simply just drop it and wait for a better shot.
The ball just wide of the court. So Devilliers,
okay.
did a nice job from the baseline.
Point.
Yeah, doing a great job of not going for the winner every time, but if you can make your opponent stretch for those volleys, it really, really makes them much more difficult to execute against them.
Side out.
That comes with confidence, though, right? In knowing that you can still maintain with throughout a rally. I feel like at times when you feel like you've got to thread the needle or go for the winner, it's because you're not necessarily trusting the rest of your game.
Exactly, exactly. I think when you know that you're stringing together combinations of shots, you're much more likely to play within yourself.
Point for Anderson Scarpa, and watch his wrist angle on this next serve. It's a little bit unique, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on it. And maybe I'm crazy here, but just visually, it looks as if he draws his wrist really far back on his pull.
Yeah, it's more of a tennis thing where you kind of load that wrist a little bit. You don't see that as often in pickleball. I think he's just probably carrying that over from his tennis days would be my guess.
Just getting a little extra on that lever, right?
Cock that up and ready to release it.
After hours of watching pickleball, you start to pick up on some of the little nuances. Nice ball there from Scarpa.
Yeah, and I like that play. Somebody who covers the court so well, going back behind Devilliers to the forehand side might be the best choice when he has a neutral volley and where to take it.
That ball spun right into the hip of Scarpa.
Yeah, he had the up the line open. It just looked like he wasn't able to hit that ball clean there.
And to your point, the exact same thing.
Yeah, good depth. It's very awkward for the players that are so good at hitting these passes. It's sometimes uncomfortable moving to your strength, which is usually the forehand. So sometimes when players go there often, it throws off your patterns just a little bit.
Here's a look at it again. Shallow return from Devilliers, paying dividends on the side of Scarpa.
Yeah, absolutely. Anderson Scarpa getting some good spin on that one. Cleared the net pretty high, was able to get enough dip to keep that in the court. And an amazing point by Anderson Scarpa, not only putting the shot making on full display, but the movement really showcasing what an athlete he is out here.
Hashtag athlete, Anderson Scarpa. Trying to remember the pole that was getting pushed around. What was it? Would you rather be athletic or powerful? Was that
I think
it
was
going around?
Fast hands are powerful.
Fast hands are powerful this week.
You know, and I don't think the fast hands is going to matter as much in singles.
No.
So for that question, I'd have to go with the power if it's a singles question.
Or athletic.
That's true.
Slapping that down is Scarpa.
Yeah, every now and then when you return short, sometimes by accident, it actually ends up being a tougher pass for your opponent. I think he got a little fortunate with a slightly shorter return, but still making Devilliers move out here.
And Scarpa just took a little bit of a tumble there, caught the edge of his toe. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, fortunately he looks like he's doing all right. We've all been there when we're flying around the court, right?
No, I've never been there. So sure-footed.
Yeah, I think Scarpa went out of his way to change direction on that one. Probably didn't need to. The natural volley would have just been to push that up the line.
Devilliers testing both sides of Scarpa's body right there and goes back-to-back for points. It's 7-all.
7-7.
Devilliers finding some really nice angles and plenty of power to challenge Scarpa. He has the 1-point advantage. This one has been tight from the beginning. Devilliers facing off against Anderson Scarpa. We're in game 1 action. Devilliers with a 1-point advantage. Great footwork there from Devilliers, recovering from those one-hand backhands, set himself up beautifully.
Yeah, and you know, Anderson Scarpa's had some success hitting volleys to the forehand side of Devilliers, but I think he's going out of his way to try to do it at the wrong times right now. I think he's got to wait for him to have a more neutral ball to find that opening.
So make it one more for the number 2 seed, who now has game point.
10-7.
Whoa, right place, right time for Devilliers in the transition zone. 11-7, take a look at this one. Devilliers tossing up the pickleball right now as he is about to serve to start game number 2 versus Anderson Scarpa. Men's singles action here at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Open in Phoenix, Arizona. Court presented by Baird, but also presented by Foot Solutions.
Devilliers trying to go for that cross-court pass on the forehand. Looked like maybe just needed one more step to get that ball in front of him.
Devilliers putting Scarpa in a box right there. That was the only shot he could have even tried to attempt.
Yeah, more than one way to move your opponent, not just laterally. Sometimes bringing them in on your own terms is a smart play.
Devilliers right now testing the backhand side of Scarpa on the first 2 rallies.
Yeah, and a beautiful pass there. It wasn't just that it was to the backhand side, but very low, dipping below the net. Really made it a tough volley.
Great placement and extension there from Devilliers. Oh, that was the thing of beauty.
Yeah, really showing his court coverage. Was able to, a couple of those backhands, just take a big step and get back to neutral when it looked like Scarpa was well in control of the point.
That didn't go Devilliers' way, but you did see kind of the scouting report for Devilliers. We talked about it in the break. Give us just a little bit of a glance as to the court positioning of Devilliers.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of different types of dangerous passers. Some people hit those clean winners. Other people make you stretch, and then they instantly close in and move forward. It puts extra pressure on the volley because you feel like your opponent, who you think is on defense, is coming in to play offense. Devilliers does that as well as anyone.
Nice step and a half from Devilliers to finish.
And you see how challenging it is to pass Devilliers with that reach up at the kitchen line. And he is feeling it now. We talked about if there was a weapon or certainly a flashy shot, it's that beautiful one-handed backhand. Didn't hit that one at full pace, took a little pace off, disguised it well for the clean winner.
4-0.
Thank you, net, says Anderson Scarpa.
It's definitely a nice way to stop a run from your opponents, getting a little let cord there. Let's see what he can do as far as getting on the board here in game 2.
Tit for tat right there. 1 for 1. Devilliers getting one back.
4-0.
Apologizing, of course. Devilliers, just one of the great personalities on tour. ATP for Devilliers. He says, what, are you not entertained, championship court?
And you know, it was a tougher ATP than a lot of other ones. Really wasn't wide open. He thread the needle perfectly for a highlight reel.
Devilliers, again, one of the fan favorites here on the Carvana PPA Tour. And Scarpa says, all right, not so fast, Devilliers. I'm getting him back on my side. He does have a 5-point advantage, though, does the number 2 seed here in game number 2, as well as game number 1 in his pocket.
And Devilliers showing some of the variety that he has, threw in the little dump volley in that point to maintain control. And like I mentioned earlier, he maybe doesn't have obvious weapons like some of the other top guys, but really can do so many things out here on the singles court.
Oh, and they thought, Scarpa thought he was going to go for another ATP like he had just done. Nice execution there and forethought from Devilliers.
Yeah, he held that till the last second, got Scarpa to lean one way and went back behind him the other way.
And you got to watch out when he starts going with those calls. You know Devilliers is feeling himself.
Yeah, he's feeling good right now. He's got it all working. We'll see what Scarpa can do to slow him down here.
I mean, what do you do when someone's in such a fantastic rhythm?
Yeah, I think you just try to make them beat you with a different shot. The challenge is that Devilliers has beat you with a variety of different shots. So sometimes you just have to try to weather the storm, focus on what you can control, good deep returns. And if they're passing you on both sides, I've said this many times, but middle is not a bad choice when it seems that they've got everything working.
Well, back to back, it was the thunder and then the lightning from Devilliers adds another 2. Scarpa closing out.
Yeah, a couple of nice volleys there. You see the court coverage from Devilliers, though, with his length. He's able to sometimes just take a big step and cover these difficult volleys.
Devilliers is not going to be making too many friends if he keeps doing that.
Well, we mentioned he's feeling himself a little bit. Sometimes it's just one of those days where it's all working.
Your direction. Are you kidding me? Devilliers, Scarpa, I just got to say, I don't know what he did to the ball beforehand, but this thing, I mean, that's 3 let cords going his direction.
Yeah, and I don't know if Scarpa can play a better point, and he still doesn't win it.
I feel helpless for him again. ATP on the opposite side. Timeout. What can Devilliers not do?
10-0.